Live.
All right. Hello, everyone.
Hold on. We are going to be on in a couple of seconds. Okay, here we are. So, welcome to the Eric and Liz show.
Yes, welcome. Hello, everyone. I hope everyone's having a wonderful week so far.
Yeah, and I'm still clicking away like I always does, like I always do here to get all my settings going. Uh, Hold on, up on a big screen, and here we go. Now we are totally connected and linking up, and that was the most elegant way I've ever seen you drink that bottle of water.
Gotta stay hydrated, you know? Gotta stay
Oh,
hydrated.
yeah, no, that's important. That's important.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so how was your week?
It's coming along pretty good. Just super busy. Um, you know, working, and I'm working on masks, so I'm getting tons of orders. You know,
Yeah, I know that. I
hey,
saw it. I posted even your teaser for the masks.
mm-hmm.
Um, on LinkedIn and on YouTube, and I'm very glad this is you know working for you.
Yes, it's coming along really well, and I'm doing accessories also. Bracelets and
Uh-huh.
just all types of things. Because since the shutdown, people aren't really, hey, they're not getting dressed up.
Yeah.
Ladies are not really wearing their stilettos and their custom pieces, but we'll get back to it real soon. You know.
Well, it's very funny. And I just want to tell our viewers, who might be watching us for the first time, Liz Russell, her full name is actually a fashion designer. And, I'm in the real estate business and business brokerage. Um, but we came together, to do the show and bringing interesting, business people, CEO owners, employees, to the show that we think they can bring something positive to your life or improve something. And today we have three very interesting people from all parts, of America. I mean, we have like Nicholas Dam, who is from Hawaii. Then we have Jeanette Espinosa, who is from Atlanta, Georgia.
Yes.
Rachel Moriarty, who is from San Diego County, Chula Vista, here in Southern California, where we are located in beautiful San Diego.
Yes. I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
No, 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 no. That's totally okay. But so I'm going to get Nicholas to join us first,
All right.
and well, we definitely have his picture here. That's for sure. Hello,
Hello.
Hi,
Nicholas.
Nicholas.
Hi. Let me start. There we go.
There you go.
Oh
How
my
marvelous!
goodness.
Wonders. So from beautiful Hawaii, but which island?
Hawaii.
Nice. How long
Yeah,
have
Wow.
you
it's
been
it's
there
it's
now?
the ugliest one of them all.
Yeah. So how
How are
long
you
have you
guys today?
been there?
Oh, we're doing great. We're doing pretty good.
Very good. Thanks for having me.
Hey,
Well,
thanks for coming.
I would like to tell our viewers first why I was curious to have you on the show, and then you just tell us a little bit about you, what you did in the past and how you ended up um, at Menu Point where you're working now. I mean, I saw you actually on LinkedIn and you were presenting, your new product. And I had come across something similar about now 4 or 5 years in China, where you would actually go to the restaurant and you would have to put your phone on QR code, and then you would get the menu, you would do the order, and you would pay. So that's why basically you're here. So hey, mission accomplished for you, that's for sure.
I didn't stop in China.
No, it did not. It did not. So tell us a little bit about you, Nicholas.
So, well, I think for you listeners a little bit, obviously I've had the pleasure of knowing you, Eric, for a little bit. And usually when I got to see you, you were wearing a lot less clothes when we were going water skiing down in
Yeah,
the
we
bay.
know Java as toddlers. That's what you wanted to say?
Yes, we do. So my past a little bit is I grew up in Germany and was very fortunate to be exposed to all different kind of things in life. Um, Pretty much grew up with music and for a long time pursued a dream um, of taking cello to university and becoming a cello teacher. Spent a lot of my time in my teenage years, really every single afternoon practicing for 5, 6, 7 hours and being very active there. Ended up in an all German youth orchestra. Long story short, at some point my arms basically had muscle issues, which made me go back to having to relearn technique from scratch. And my teacher back then told me that I would have to give up the band I was playing in. I would have to quit the orchestra. I would have to break up with my girlfriend. And
He said that too?
well, I'm getting to her in a minute. So the band disagreed, the orchestra disagreed, the girlfriend did agree.
Okay, 50-50, I guess.
But so ultimately I decided that pursuing music at that time wasn't the right thing, and I was looking for other things that would allow me to be creative. And Eric, you know that I made a very bad choice at becoming a chef, thinking that I would be doing creative work. So I became a chef by trade, and spent years basically like got out of the kitchen after the initial 3-4 years, went to the front of the house, spent a lot of times being fortunate to work in very prestigious establishments, working alongside great chefs. Eric, you know the Westgate well. You spend a fair bit of time there. So I have to say that until this day, I will always cherish that we were doing tableside cooking. You cherish that time just as much as I did, I think.
Yeah, well, that was that was different times. It was a healthy competition between the chefs in the kitchen and the waiters out front, which had to cook tableside. But eventually, we just had to let the chefs do it. Period.
And it's probably better that way because we did almost burn a lot of people's hair. So, but it was a good time, and I spent a lot of time in great hotels. Moved from the food and beverage side to the hotel operations side, and spent many years there. Ultimately, it brought me here to Hawaii, and I spent a lot of time on the Big Island. Had some exciting time at the King Kamehameha Kona Beach Hotel, which is the host hotel to the World Ironman Championship.
Wow.
Was there for 8 years, made very, very great connections. And have to say, the Big Island, other than meeting my wife and starting my family and getting married there as well on the side,
Yeah.
it just contributed a lot to what I see as values in my life now. It very much changed who I am. And from there, I pursued an opportunity here in Kauai to then ultimately run into my new company, which has now taken me away from hotels and hospitality for the first time in my life.
Yeah. But hey, I know how that feels. You know, it's not a bad feel. But now tell us about that technology that um, I think for the States it's really relatively new. And I could imagine that actually through COVID, um, that it kind of propelled you suddenly into the forefront, of restaurants.
It's so what we do is our company is actually not that new at what they're doing. And there is some other companies that do a very good job as well at doing something very similar.
Don't talk about the others.
No,
Talk about your company.
I was trying for a lead in to show you what they're bad at, but anyway, I'm not going to do that. But I'm going to do something, and I'm Liz, forgive
Mhm.
me if your ears don't want to handle this. Um, but in order for me to tell the story of my new company, I sort of have to start with introducing you to Ben. And Ben is not here with me, but I'm going to tell a little bit of a story of how Ben decided that Menu Point was necessary. So,
Okay.
I'm going to take this. I'm going to ask you to sort of imagine yourself on a pool deck somewhere in a beautiful climate. Could be Kauai, could be anywhere. So I'm going to take you to this for now. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up the dreams that you dreamed of, once in a lullaby. One way over the rainbow, bluebirds fly. The dreams that you dreamed of. Where's my Mai Tai?
We're there. We are just floored. We're listening. If we go viral, it's all your fault.
Okay, so ultimately, Ben was sitting at a beautiful pool deck, and he came through that whole thing. He had wonderful music playing, and he realized he had no drink in his hand. And he looked around, and he saw a whole bunch of people that were all in a great mood. And as you know, very oftentimes, especially in climates where you enjoy the casual feel, the feel of aloha, the relaxed feel. Most of the times you see about 17 people gathered around the bar talking to each other, but you're sitting there without a drink in your pool chair. And that's basically how the technology started. Ben is a gentleman
Cheers.
who, cheers, sorry, it's only 1 o'clock. So,
It's okay.
and he ultimately started developing Menu Point, which is, and the idea came all down to the fact that he wanted to come up with something where, in this time where everybody is sort of glued to their cell phone, anyway, um, you give the operator the ability to take away your necessity to speak to them. So anybody can, take their phone and either look at a menu, which is one of the products we have, or they can actually do exactly what Eric spoke about, in the Chinese market, order their own food at the click of a button, utilize their pre-established payment method on the phone and just pay. And they even get a text message when the food is about to come. You can call the waiter if you'd like. So that's ultimately what it is in
Yeah.
short.
In short.
In short.
Sounds simple. Sounds pretty simple enough.
So, after all, I want to give our listeners the opportunity, listeners and viewers. Um, I mean, they could just hold their phones, I guess, on your QR codes, that we see in your background.
Yes. So if you like to, you could see a sample menu, or on the little QR code that has the pelican on it. It takes you to like a sample ordering screen, um, and it's just very simple. And oftentimes you have the classic thing of, wait, the waiter didn't get my order right, or they didn't ask me the right question. The temperature was wrong on the burger. you have the ability to make the customer give you all that information, and you sort of take away that room for error. So there's a lot of upsides to it.
So if I would be a restaurateur and I wanted now that technology, um, who would I contact in your company?
Me.
Oh, well, hey, like, so
Unless you didn't,
how would we
unless
contact you then, Nicholas?
so unless you didn't want to talk to me, Aaron and Ben, and we obviously have other folks that can help you. But generally, even though I'm on Kauai, one of the great advantages that we have is we can help you install this program anywhere without having to physically be there with you. So it's as easy as sending you basically a tablet that has your menu pre-programmed on it, and you turn it on and we send you live, and from there on out everything can be done remotely. So I can be reached, MenuPoint can be reached at just menupoint.net.
I like that because I think that many people in the industry don't even realize how easy it could be for them, just to install that software. Just go and no, our program is not sponsored. However, if you want to in the future, you can always do that. But for me, it was more like really going there, putting you out there, because I think this is a technology which it's going to catch on.
Mm-hmm.
And now with COVID, it's probably just going to catch on a little faster than it would have before. And from my personal experience, yes, of course, you will always have a certain type of restaurant who probably will have, just a paper menu. But the reality is, we all evolved so much, and we pretty much all have, with the exception, I think, of my mother, a smartphone.
See, my mother now has one too, and she knows more emojis than I do.
Yeah, I'm a bad boy. Maybe I just should get her one, but
Is the app is it free? The app, or how do we get the app?
The app is free. So the MenuPoint app itself is free, and we have the capability. So it's ultimately designed as an app, which you can download on your phone. But at the same time, a restaurant can also choose not to actually be on the app, but still have the same functionality available. So you could go and somebody could basically pretend like they have nothing to do with us at all. And just tell their customer, click on this link, and you're going to be able to order. So they don't have to associate themselves with them. We have that a lot. There are a couple of our properties, and the hotel that I last worked at, the way we set up MenuPoint was to make it seem like it is housed within the hotel itself, instead of being displayed in public, so that the guest feels like they exclusively can order something. We have solutions set up for there's an apartment complex property that I'm working with right now on developing, like taking our program and writing it to where their residents can order from their cafe and have it delivered or pick it up. So it has a lot of versatility as to what we can do with it, in how it is. The app itself, yes, it's free for anybody to download. And then the great thing about the app is the more properties have the app, you as a consumer it's really easy. If you drive around in Kauai, you can see all of the different options of restaurants that are open on the app. And if you have used it one time, you just go, you order, you click, you pay, you tell them when you're coming, and you're done.
Wow, that's pretty nice.
That's great.
Pretty ingenious.
And Eric was mentioning this a second ago. I think, I worked in hotels for 25 years. And the number one item that everybody always talks about is obviously your labor cost. It's your hardest point that brings you, I guess, pain. The restaurant industry is not a very profitable industry, and your overhead is challenging for you to ultimately make profit. If it is used right, and I say this, I say that again, if it is used right, because it depends on the operator managing the tool right. It can absolutely reduce how many people you need on the floor, and it gives you the ability to give more drinks or food to more guests.
Yeah, and especially faster. Like you said, I don't have to wait, for the service person to come. I put my order it and they start preparing it and then it's being
Mm-hmm.
brought to me. So I think in regards to time efficiency and well the whole process is being streamlined. Um, However, if you order the wrong thing, you can't blame the server anymore.
That's funny.
Yes, yeah, yes, you can't blame them. You can still there is obviously, it's
Oh, you mean there's a human factor involved?
there is a human factor involved, and there will have to be a human factor involved. But it's really exciting for me because my younger brother works in Leverkusen, in Germany, Leverkusen. He works at the soccer stadium, and we're actually we could technically design our system to where anybody in a sporting stadium could sit in their seat,
Yeah.
and instead of having to get up and get their hot dog, you can get it brought to you. Same with movie theaters. Restaurants could basically partner with a movie theater and enable the clients in the movie theater to just order straight from the restaurant and get it brought to the seat or just to the door. So there's just a lot of um, possibilities to where it
Yeah.
makes convenient money spent.
There could be a lot of
Mhm.
synergy, but it's really up to you as a restaurateur or business owner to see how far you want to go push. Um,
Mhm.
the options seem limitless, which sometimes also can lead that a chaos within. But overall, like I said, I just put it out there. I know, well, people know me. I'm actually a traditionalist, know, when it comes to food and beverage. But times do change. They do change.
Mhm.
And in this case, it's really a step to make it easier for the consumer and the hospitality person, to get things moving. And in this case, being able to keep the social distancing and still have an enjoyment. And that we are lucky right now. We're beginning of the summer, so people can sit outside. When the winter is coming, it's going to be a totally new ball game for everybody. But then, hey, if I can enjoy that at home,
Mhm.
and I'm not just limited to some restaurants which can do it. Um, for me as a consumer, hey, okay, it makes it at least more livable.
And I remember that when everything basically closed at the end of March, right? Really
Yeah,
one of the biggest thing was, and so many here in Kauai County, or all the different Hawaii counties, one of the first initiatives was to provide people with information on who was actually providing takeout food. And a lot of restaurants have really adapted, in my opinion, very well to mixing the takeout as a volume driver versus only having folks dine in and sit down. And if we all don't really know what's going to come and when a vaccination is going to be here to support things to change, but I personally think that restaurant dining is going to somewhat change forever.
oh
Right.
yeah, that is, I would say, for certain. We'll see how much we like it, but the experience going out and enjoying that will not go away. It's
Right.
just going to change and being readjusted and everything. And Nicholas, please, I invite you to stay on if you would like. I mean, you can also
I need
get
to. It's
off the
Rachel.
show.
Rachel is going to be on the show, right?
Yeah, Rachel Moriarty is going to be on the show. I know that you happen to know her, and so at the end of the show, we have an open mic, and then we can ask each other's question. And Liz, please, I would like you to introduce Jeanette Espinosa, that I'm going to admit now. I mean, unfortunately, on Zoom they admit people.
Right. All right. Are we ready?
Ah,
Well,
there she
Hello,
is.
Jeanette.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm
Welcome,
doing
welcome.
well.
Yes, everyone. This is Jeanette Espinosa joining us from Atlanta. She is an author and a speaker, and she is also an activist, and she is also the queen of self-care. I made this just for you.
Ooh.
The queen of self-care and self-love. That's
That
right.
is perfect. Thank you.
You're more than welcome.
Love
Thank
it.
you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
Yes. So, Jeanette, could you start out telling us a little bit about yourself and about some of the books you have written? You have a really extensive career going here.
Wow. Well,
Mhm.
thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for
You're
having me.
welcome.
And I'm really zoning out to his background, which I wish I was there because it's raining in Atlanta right now. So I would appreciate
Oh my
some
goodness.
sunshine. Yeah, it's horrible. Yes, yay. I love it. I love it. So thank you very much, Liz. She's personally one of my sheroes, so very honored to be on her show. As she said, I am an author. I do have a day job, but I'm following my passion to write. And just a little bit of background of how I started that. And this will sound sad, but this is not a sad story. I am a domestic violence survivor. And obviously a very traumatic experience sort of propelled me into writing what I write about now because I've written since I was like 7, and I thought I wanted to go into fiction, but I just couldn't get the book out. It just wouldn't come to me. I just had more of a desire to write about my journey. So going through that experience was obviously very demoralizing. I kept it a secret from my family. And so climbing out of that situation, I had to really rebuild my confidence and learn how to love and care for myself. And it was quite a journey. I mean, I went through therapy, read a lot of books, but I learned a lot of valuable lessons that I thought would be, of use to other women. A lot of women go through domestic violence with a lot of shame. They don't tell anybody, they're suffering in silence. And I wanted to kind of be not the face of domestic violence, but just a voice, like a beacon for people to be able to come to and talk about their experiences and just to kind of help them get to a better place of, feeling stronger, feeling more confident, and, understanding that they do have the power and the ability to remove themselves from that situation. So the first book actually started off as therapy for me. I started writing positive affirmations and, posting them around the house, sharing them with my girlfriends. And my sister told me, she was like, you should turn that into a book, because I would write the positive affirmation and then write a message underneath. And so that literally morphed into a affirmation book of 365 days of original quotes and positive messages. So that was the first book. It's called Jeanette's Jewels, which is also the name of my and the second book is entitled Beautifully Imperfect. And it was pretty much me telling my story and relating different things that happened in my life to, present day and situations that other women can kind of relate to and use in their lives. I experienced homelessness, lost my job, depleted my savings, and I'm raising 2 children in the midst of all of this. So that book was basically just me being completely open about my journey and just kind of, teaching how I went from that position to, being able to be self-sufficient today. And the most recent book, which is called Rock Your Crown, Liz appropriately has the crown, is
Right.
is just basically speaking to women from the perspective of a queen ruling her kingdom or her queendom, and teaching how to make sure that she surrounds herself with the right kind of people to help, uplift her, keep her cup fed, keep her cup full, keep her spiritually fed, and to make sure that it's just a connection of positive energy around her. So that's it for the book.
Right.
Wow,
You know,
that's powerful.
yeah,
Right?
very, very powerful, and now since we have, the stay at home,
Mhm.
in place again, you'd be surprised how many women in particular, any woman,
Mhm.
they go to work to get away, and now
Right.
they can't go anywhere.
Right.
So hopefully you'll provide us with like a hotline later, if that's somewhere that someone, if they need to reach out, you'd be
Absolutely.
surprised,
Mhm.
who is in need
Right.
right now, because like I said, we have to stay at home, and a lot of women, and some men too, but
Right.
a lot of women are in situations where it's just not a good, it's not a good situation.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And you teach self-love.
Yeah.
That's that's how we become successful first, is learning to love ourselves.
Correct.
Because like you said, you have to have your cup full in order to, assist someone else.
Right. And I definitely stress the importance of unconditional self-love. We
Yes.
as women tend to love ourselves when, we have perfect hair or perfect
Hmm.
job, if we have a man, if we have money or things like that. But it's important to maintain that self-worth no matter what is going on, because literally how you feel about yourself is what you draw to you. And I mean, I know it's basic. Everybody's talking about empowerment right now and energy. But what I want
Hmm.
people to understand is that energy is very real. And literally, your thoughts, what you think, how you carry yourself, what you feel about yourself, that is what you draw to you. And the women that I speak to, I tell them, if you feel like you feel yourself going through these patterns, the only common denominator is you. So you have to ask yourself, what kind of energy am I putting out? What am I doing? Am I valuing myself? Am I teaching people how to treat me by how I treat myself? Because
Right.
you can only go by what you present. So you definitely have to be putting your best foot forward. But I don't believe that fake it till you make it. I believe you get behind closed doors, get with yourself, find whatever your spiritual practice is, pray, meditate, and get yourself together first so that when you come out, it's authentic. Because people,
Right.
unfortunately, with malicious intent can tell when somebody is not, being authentically themselves. And if they intend to harm you, then, they will try to
Hmm.
Mhm.
have to present a strong front and a fullness of yourself filled with self
Hmm.
that people can see.
Exactly. We definitely don't want to overlook you fellas. You guys can jump in at any time.
No, no, it's
Yeah,
like
come on
um
in.
how when you were
Usually
Yes.
when
in
I
that
hear people talk about hair, I zone out.
yeah,
Mm.
when you were in that domestic violence situation, you said you were also taking care of two kids.
Yes.
So I guess that to a certain um, that to a certain extent they probably also saw what was going on in the household.
Mhm.
Um, how I don't know, how can you get out of that, that situation? Because unfortunately, we know when we look at statistics, it's happening. It's
Right.
happening,
Right.
behind closed doors, especially now.
Right.
And that suppression and that I'm sure there's also a lot of fear
Yes.
involved. You
Yes.
know, is he going to attack, my children too? Is he going to use my children against me?
Right.
Right.
When comes that point that where you build up enough energy, to break through, because that's, after all, you have to get to that point that you
Absolutely.
got to is it just self-realization, or
Well, for me, it was a particular incident that terrified me. My children are adults now. They're both college grads, thank gosh. And matter of fact, my daughter is on a Zoom call right now. So if you hear loud screams, it's her because she's in another room with a very lively conversation. But they were 6 and 8 at the time. I have a son and a daughter. And my ex-husband having a situation, and he picked up a 20-pound weight and held it up and was going to hit me in the head with it. So, needless to say, I would have died or been crippled or whatever. So, when I saw him coming down with the weight, instinctually, I called out my son's name. And I don't even know where that came from. It was just because my son was 8 at the time. Obviously, there was nothing he do, and he was asleep in the next room. But in me calling out his name, my ex-husband, I guess, kind of snapped. But unfortunately, my son heard me and came in the room. So he just saw, his father standing there with that weight and me cowered on the ground. So at that moment, I knew. I said, I've got to get out of here. He had never done anything to my children physically, but obviously, when you're in the household and that type of environment, mentally they are um, obviously affected. So literally the very next day, I called in sick to work. I packed up everything that I could. My family did not know what was going on because it was just a shame thing. I didn't tell anybody. But thankfully, my sister lived in the area and I told her, me and the kids are coming to stay with you. So that day I left and I never went back. And, there was a lot of drama, obviously, because I had the kids and he didn't know where I was. But when I tell women the story, I tell them that, it doesn't have to get to that point where you are fearing for your life. And even if you don't have anybody or you think that you don't have anybody, you always have yourself. And particularly if you're a mother, you always have your children. My children literally kept me alive and helped to sustain me during that process, after, because they were my driving force. It was like, I have to get myself together and I have to do it for these babies. I owe them more than, what they came into this life with. So it's not easy. And, when I talk to women, everybody wants a magic fix. There is no magic fix. Every woman is different. Every woman comes to this realization at a different point in her life. But what I stress is that having faith first, having a spiritual practice, and just making sure that you stay rooted in who you are, making sure that every day you try to find your own worth. Because when you value yourself, there's just certain things that you won't put up with. Like people who meet me now who don't know my past, when I tell them, they don't believe it because it's just a different place that I am now. And I mean, and it's a daily struggle. Nobody is perfect, but now they're the way that I feel about myself, there are certain things that I just no longer put up with anymore. And, it's good to have ownership of who you are. So.
Right, exactly. It takes a lot of courage to get out of a situation like that.
Yes.
Because a lot of women go back. Unfortunately, a lot of them go back because they don't have anyone, and they think that that's pretty much it, but it's not. So I'm so very happy to know, that you came out of your situation and you're an author now. So now you're teaching other women how to be strong and how to stay strong,
Yes.
So a lot of women look up to you, and that's really a good thing.
Thank you.
so where could we find your books?
You can find me everywhere.
Oh, okay.
I'm everywhere.
Except Hawaii.
Except Hawaii, the place I want to be. But they're actually on my website first. That's the quickest way to get to everything. That's cspinosa.com. But my books are available on Walmart.com and Amazon.com. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
So I didn't hear the first one. I heard the Amazon.com and the other one.
Amazon and Walmart.com.
Ah, okay.
Right. Okay, that's wonderful. So is there like a hotline or a number that's available if someone is watching and, you know, they feel like you have really touched them today?
There's actually there's a few, and I apologize because I didn't know it was gonna put, but it's on my website.
Okay.
So if they go to JeanetteCEspinosa.com, and then they can also reach out to me directly, and I can put them into in touch with things in their area as well.
Yes.
They just message me on my website.
Yeah. Jeanette is also, she is on Facebook, she's on Instagram, LinkedIn, so you can find her anywhere.
Everywhere. Under
yeah,
Jeanette
everywhere. So if you want to reach out to her.
Well, congratulations. That's all I can tell you, know that everything has worked out for you and, you know, your family to come out on the other side, you know, in a positive way. We know so many people come out hurt. So, I mean, the hurt will probably never go away.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't, but you can learn to live with it. And obviously, once you practice gratitude, you realize to be thankful for the things that you have, and they outweigh the bad every time.
Right. Exactly. Can I ask you one more question? Do you actually, are you working on another book right now?
Yes, I am. I am expanding Jeanette's Jewels, which is my company that's turning into an empowerment product company. And the first product that I'm putting out are journals, guided journals. And they will be obviously Jeanette's Jewels, but they will be for different topics. And so the first one will be out next month. And everything that I do will be, you know, I promote it on social media and it'll be on my website. So if people go to my website, I'll always have a coming soon. So that way they can see what's happening and what products I'm putting out.
All right, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Jeanette, the blue that you're wearing on your book cover for Rock Your Crown, you look absolutely stunning in that blue. So
that's awesome.
I'm on your website right now. And just
you.
I was trying to find you on LinkedIn while you were speaking, and now I got to your website. So I'm glad I got to see it. And,
thank you so much. And I have to give Liz credit for that, because she told me whenever I am on television or I'm taking pictures that the color blue is the color to wear. So that is precisely why I chose that outfit.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, hey,
well, you look awesome.
You know what you're doing.
Thank you.
After all, Liz, the fashion designer.
Exactly.
Yes.
Actually, we're speaking about design. So let's hop to our next guest. And please, Jeanette, please feel free to stay. I would love you to stay. And at the end, you know, we have an open mic session and you can just ask each other's question. And now we're going to have Rachel Moriarty on board. Hello, Rachel.
Hi, Rachel.
Ah, there you are. You just might want to turn your phone around.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, hold on. Hold on, let me switch the, oh my gosh. Okay, here we go. How am I now? Better?
You are great.
There you go.
All right.
Yes.
Let me give Nicholas a little like hang loose.
Yeah. Well, Rachel, I mean, you have a great story. You know, from, you know, when you wanted to become an interior designer to now have become an award-winning, you know, interior designer. And I can only point out that you want to see someone, you know, website, and you feel your website is not so professional. After you see Rachel's website, you're going to, oh shit, my website is still not professional.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know,
thank you.
It's true. I mean, it's great. It has a lot of contents and, of course, all your awards. And I would like you to just give our viewers, a little story, how you got to be where you are.
Yeah, well, I've always been a creative. And during the economic downturn in 2008, I actually totally took a left turn and went into private banking. I stayed there for 8 years, and that was like I definitely am happy I did it just for the business side of things. But I started side hustling. I started missing the creative aspect to it. So in 2014, I started side hustling and taking on design projects for friends and family. I faced, social media was just kind of like taking off, and I would literally just post little pictures of me putting a pillow on a sofa or fluffing a bed or, doing something like that. And I started getting little jobs. And by the middle of 2015, I had enough momentum to quit the banking industry and start Rachel Moriarty Interiors.
Mm.
Yeah,
That's the fast track, really.
that's the best. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, what is so interesting
That's
is
awesome.
that you have so many different styles,
Yeah.
of interior decorating.
Yeah.
And I would just like, when I looked at it, on your website, it's like, oh, the bachelor pad, etc., etc. So very themed, but very expressive um,
Yeah.
pieces of interior design.
Yeah, well, it's super important for me to go into someone's house and visually tell their story. And I don't ever want to leave someone's house and someone know that Rachel Moriarty's been there. I want it to be a reflection of them. I think, though, the one thing that might be the through line through all of my projects will be the use of my color. I use color a lot, even in bachelor pads. But, living in Southern California, I could be working on a mid-century home one day. I could be working on a 10,000 square foot home in Rancho Santa Fe, a beach house in La Jolla, so it really, really depends on my clients, the architecture, my client, their lifestyle, and their likes.
I mean, I'm just amazed, because I've been following the story, and it's good to see, because we are interviewing a lot of women in business, on this show, and for me, it's great to see that there's so much momentum out there, for women to find their place in the business world and to do that step, to go out there and say, hey, you know what, I have it in me, which before was like kind of, that dominated man's world. So it's great to see that. And, I look at Liz here at the screen.
And Liz is rocking some tassels today. I'm gonna have to have that necklace.
All right. It looks like something you would love to.
Yes.
Yes.
The whole show I've been like looking at that.
All right. Well, you know what, Rachel? I have a question for you. How hard is it to get you to convince your client not to be afraid of color?
Okay.
Different,
Yeah. So
Yeah.
One of the things I specialize in, I'm actually also a #1 best-selling author on Amazon, and I have a book on marketing for the design and staging industry. I mentor interior designers on basically personal branding, because that's really what we are. A lot of people hate that word, but that is what, the minute you hang your shingle out with your name on it, this is your brand, right? So one of the things I do, and I'm really careful about, is putting out a lot of color on social media, wearing my brand. Eric knows, I mean, really, I'm an introvert and a homebody, but I dress as an extrovert because I love color. I love to use color. everything I put out is very colorful. Everything on my website is very colorful. Even if the project wasn't necessarily so colorful, I'll get in these tight, shots, and that's what I share out, because I'm kind of saying minimalist need not apply for a design project here.
Right, exactly.
So, but to answer your question, so I put out a lot of color and a lot of like maximalist style. I'm really magnetizing my ideal client to me is what I'm doing. So they come to me to get them to add color to their home, but even after the service agreement is signed, even after the retainer is paid, there's still that point where they start backpedaling a little bit, and they're like, well, I don't know how much color I like. And, so they come to me to get them out of Brown Town, I call it, because, they have wood furniture, travertine floors, beige carpets, beige walls, and they're like, please get me out. I made all these safe decisions, help. And, but once we get the ball rolling, they kind of get cold feet, and then it's my job to just gently guide them through the process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
I like to gently guide them through the process.
Gently twist their arm behind their back.
Yeah, I love your mix of color and your, the different patterns. It's amazing. I've actually spent a lot of time on your Facebook and your Instagram, just getting, inspiration.
Thank
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Absolutely beautiful.
Thank you so much. It's fun.
Well, Liz, I think it's time that you design something for Rachel again. It's been a long time.
It's going to be a much bigger size than the first one.
I wouldn't say that. I
got the COVID-19 right now, for sure.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, this is awesome.
So do you have any tips for people who are trying to, I'm really speaking about myself, trying to get organized, trying to organize your space? What are what are a few, tips?
Yeah, really at the end of the day, if the main thing I would say is, really like kind of empty things out and then edit things as you put it back in, and just use a strong editing eye. Clean, clean, clean. I always say you want to change up the energy in your space immediately, declutter and clean. And then you can kind of close the gap with a couple, cute things, cute throw pillows and blankets and stuff like that, some art.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you need more help than that, I'm happy to help you.
I will be giving you a call for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, so decluttering is still a thing.
Decluttering is still a thing. Well, decluttering is always a thing. Yeah. Even for a maximalist, I'm a curated maximalist.
I like that. I'd never had that. Heard that one before. A curated maximalist.
Yes.
I like that very much. I'm probably an uncurated maximalist then.
Right. I'd agree with that.
Yeah. So Rachel, can you share with us one of your biggest moments that you just kind of treasure, that, one of your really cool moments that you've had in your career?
Oh my gosh.
You have so many.
I think it's just I think one of the a pivotal moment I had. So when I quit corporate, and I was laying in bed one night, and I had taken the summer off with the kids. And what happens is when you stop marketing, your pipeline dries out, right? So it was about 6 weeks after summer, and I noticed that I was getting ready to close up on projects, and I didn't have anything new. And I was sitting in bed, and I literally got this download that said, Rachel, get up tomorrow and start doing a Facebook Live. And it had just come out. It literally just come out. And I was laying in bed, and I'm like, you got the wrong girl. I'm not the one, all this stuff. But I'm very motivated by public shame. So I got on Facebook. I flipped on live. And I said, I'm going to be, you know, giving myself a 30-day challenge. I'm going to come on here and talk about design and decorating tips. If you have any questions, let me know, PM me. It ended up that 30 days turned into 60 days to 90 days. And I ended up doing a year and a half straight a Facebook Live 7 days a week. And following that little intuitive voice that night has basically changed my career. My pipeline has never dried up. It provided opportunities like the book that I wrote. I mentor a community of 2,000 interior designers now. I'm a global brand ambassador. I am a High Point Market Style Spotter, which is the biggest furniture market in the world. You know, it just really put me on the map. And when I knew I worked for HGTV, when I knew I really was onto something is I got a private message, and it was the owner of the Design Network. And he just said one line, "You're about to be my best friend." And it was then when I realized, because you can see like how many views, like, you know, you watch your numbers on YouTube and you watch it grow, and you're like, who are these like 100 people or whatever. And it was just funny when it really put it, you know, kind of a face, and I was like, the owner of the Design Networks, you know, so, and the producers of HGTV reached out to me, and this was all through live streams. So I think that was, you know, it was little courageous steps, but that was probably the pivotal moment of my career.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Well, hey, I think it's a beautiful story. And you know what? With that, actually, I want to give it to open mic. So,
Perfect.
you know, if you have questions to each other or for us, please feel free to ask. Now is the moment. And don't forget, we are live.
Well, I know, I was watching. I've been watching the whole time. It was great.
Right.
I love it. And I love Nick's app. I'm so excited. I'm so proud of you. Super awesome.
Thank you, Rachel. Good to see you.
You're welcome. Good to see you too.
I hope you don't take offense. I am going to do whatever I can for my wife not to see the end of this show.
I have remote services, virtual services.
If my son sees that Batman design that you have on your website.
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh. That's fun. Kids' rooms.
I got to ask a question. On your kitchen design, the kitchen remodel. This is weird. Eric, I don't know if you've seen it, but there is a kind of a bruschetta on that picture. Do you remember that from your website?
A bruschetta?
On the tuxedo kitchen.
Yes.
What is that?
Beets. It's like a beet something.
Oh my God. That's a beautiful, I mean, I know it doesn't show much of your actual kitchen, but it's a mesmerizing picture.
But that's a perfect example where I did a black and white kitchen, but I showed color, you know? And so you see what I'm talking about? Yeah. That's a perfect
Janet,
example.
Just to put you a little bit into that dynamic,
Okay.
you know, Rachel and Nicholas about 15 years ago used to water ski together.
Okay. I can see there was a
So just
connection.
because I know it, if someone is there that's just like, yeah, and I was driving the boat because I can see already Nicholas wanting to say, I drove the boat. It's okay. All good.
We hurt people back then. We really did.
Well,
So
Rachel, I
fun.
just want you to know that you have a new fan and possibly a stalker.
Oh,
Because I'm all over your Instagram page. I'm already following.
Isn't it? It's beautiful, isn't it?
It's absolutely gorgeous. And I
Thank
saw
you.
your website too the other day, and I was just like, I have to take mine down because it's the most beautiful website I've ever seen.
Aw, you guys,
Yes.
thank you so
It's
much. I
gorgeous.
actually built my website, so thank you so much.
Goodness.
I'm so appreciative.
That's
Okay, well,
cool.
we might need to talk offline. Are you still building websites? It's beautiful, but you're just absolute. This is gorgeous. And just the minute you started speaking, I was like, oh, her energy. I just want
Oh,
to listen.
Yes.
So inspirational. I love your story, your energy,
thank you.
just everything. Oh,
Oh,
so
thank
all
you. You
these
too.
parts, it's me. I'm not crazy, but I really do like it.
Oh, thank you. This is awesome.
Okay.
I think, and Liz, I've been connected with you since it's almost
Oh,
20 years, I would think.
yeah, yeah,
More?
something like that. It's been a
More.
while.
More.
I think maybe
More.
the first show that I did at the Westgate, and that's close to 20 years. Oh my God.
Yep. I still remember that outfit I got from you. It was
Oh,
white.
yeah.
It was so cute.
Exactly. Both of them. Yeah, they look gorgeous on you too. Yes, you got classics. You got
So
classics.
fun. Yes. Yes. Love it.
Absolutely.
This
Absolutely.
is great.
So actually, have you found yourself slowing down a little bit because of Corona, or that really affected you? And how's that?
You know what? Funnily, it's actually been the opposite. So I mean, I think everybody hit the brakes a little bit right in the beginning, just when people just didn't know what. But pretty quickly after that, it was like, Rachel, you've got to help me. The kids are home. I'm trying to work. They're trying to, it really became about not just surviving through quarantine, but really thriving and setting up your home, and really could be set up. Right. Because kids are not going back to school in the fall. And so
no, they're not.
People are looking at their homes differently. The home is everything now. It's entertainment, it's school, it's work, it's, people are cooking more. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and absolutely. Even the way that people are entering their home is different. Like they're like decontaminating kind of now, like the shoes go off, the sanitizing, the masks come off. I know we enter not from the front door anymore. We enter from the back which is the laundry area, so that we can, depending on what we have going on. So the home has completely changed. And I think also people kind of looking at, and just being like, I need some color in here, or I need something to make me happy. Yeah. So it's been a lot of like smaller, like it's not like the big full scale, but just a lot of people like, my home is chaotic. Everything, my life, I need to just get control of something. So, so they don't turn to alcohol and food.
Exactly.
What are you talking about?
Exactly.
I'm talking from personal experience too. Yes, so good.
That is funny. But one thing you touched on actually caught my attention. And I think it's because that's something I actually don't do. When I come back home, I really don't consider if I'm coming through the front door or the back door. But now that you've said, actually you should have something like a decontamination area.
Yeah.
Like,
that kind of actually totally makes sense.
Yeah.
It does.
In fact, I'm doing a show house, and I have the decontamination room. And so we're literally like, there's literally something that you can put your clothes on. It's like almost like a dry cleaning thing, but it will sanitize your clothes. And I mean, life as we know it has changed. And so I think it's going to be it's a new concept, but I think it's going to be a new thing.
Yeah.
Right. I believe so too.
But I experienced that in my market life, from the real estate side. We do a lot of virtual viewings now, but we still do some, physical viewings because some clients insist, and that's normal. And they all have to sign waivers to make sure that nobody is going to be liable. And you happen to do a lot of staging, for people which want to sell their house. And I don't know if people really understand the power of staging a house, because that
Sure.
can make 15, 20, $30,000, you know, revenue I mean, in addition, just there.
Yeah, I think people, the last thing they want to do is invest in staging before they put their house on the market, but they don't realize getting that counter offer and having to lower the asking price is a lot more, actually. So they could, you know, it actually is a benefit to them. You have to stop it doesn't matter if people want to even come and see the place in person. Everybody starts their search online. You have to stop people's scroll. And so it has to look perfect for people to even, you got to get them to the place to walk it. So
It does. So any more questions or answers to questions we didn't ask?
no, why is he laughing?
No. I'm going to be in touch with you, Rachel.
Okay, I love it. Is this one of your creations?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's my question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too.
I'm gonna be in touch with you too.
Yeah, this is from the Love Collection. I do a series of
goodness.
necklaces.
Can you tell? Can you tell?
I need that. I need
Yes.
that. And a cuff. And
Yeah.
a cuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all in.
Yeah.
Does it
Is
have
that
tassel
detachable
earrings too?
somehow?
I can do tassel earrings to go with it,
That is-
custom. Absolutely.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. This has
Absolutely.
been so much fun, you guys. Thank you
Yes.
so much.
Yes.
I love your show. What a great
Oh, thank
concept.
you,
Thank
Rachel.
you so much.
We certainly appreciate
Rachel.
that.
Well,
Yes.
Nicholas, Jeanette,
Thank you
Yeah.
guys.
Rachel.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
that
been
looks
you
fun.
weird to
so much. Had a
me.
great
Honor
time.
of Nick.
Yes.
Okay,
You guys
guys.
have a great day.
Thank
All right.
you.
See
Stay
you.
safe, everyone. Thank you
Okay,
so
you
much.
too.
Bye-bye.
Take care,
Bye.
Nicholas, Rachel, and Jeanette.
Thank you
Bye,
guys.
Jeanette.
Okay,
Thank you.
bye.
Bye.
Bye.